In this week's Torah portion of Bechar, we are reminded again of the eternal Jewish value of resting on Shabbat. Every 7 years during what is called the Shemitah year, even the land of Israel is given a year to rest, and nothing may be grown on the land during that Shemitah year. Back in the mid-90s, a Jewish advertising executive in New York came up with a brilliant idea. What if the New York Times listed the weekly Shabbat candle lighting time every single week? Sure, someone would have to pay for the space, but imagine that the Jewish awareness and pride that might result from such a prominent mention of the Jewish Shabbat each week in the front page of the New York Times. He got in touch with a Jewish philanthropist and sold him on the idea. It cost almost $2,000 a week, but he did it. And for the next 5 years, every Friday, Jews around the world would see Jewish women, Shabbat candlelighting time this Friday is. Every week. Eventually, the philanthropist had to cut back on a number of his projects, and in June 1999, the little Shabbat notice stopped appearing in the Friday Times, and from that week on, it never ever appeared again, except once. On January 1st, 2000, the New York Times ran a Millennium Edition. It was a special issue that featured 3 front pages. One had the news from January 1st, 1900. The second was the actual news of the day, January 1st, 2000. And then the third front page had something different. It was a front page projecting future events on January 1st, 2100. The fictional page included things like a welcome to the 51st state, Cuba, as well as a discussion onto whether or not robots should be allowed to vote, and on and on and on. And in addition to the fascinating articles, there was one more thing. Down at the very bottom of the year 2100, on the front page, was the candle lighting time in New York for January 1st, 2100. Nobody paid for it. It was just put in by the New York Times. The production manager of the New York Times, an Irish Catholic man, was asked about it. Why put in the Shabbat candle lighting time? His answer was right on the mark, and it speaks to the eternity of our people and to the power of Jewish ritual. He said, "We don't know what will happen in the year 2100. It is impossible to predict the future, but one thing you can be certain, that in the year 2100, Jewish women will be lighting Shabbat candles." Will your descendants be one of those families lighting Shabbat candles every Friday night? Of course, there is no way to guarantee it, but there is one way to increase the chances that they will be, to make sure you're lighting Shabbat candles right now. Shabbat Shalom.